Hello friends, new day of war and new update. Frosty weather has finally arrived in eastern Ukraine. Snow has fallen and the ground is steadily frozen. This means that in the future we may well see a change in tactics of both sides. In November and December there were mostly positional battles and firefights from the trenches. But now, along with the frost, heavy-wheeled and tracked equipment may come to the force, as well as rapid breakthrough deep into the enemy's territory. As for the situation around Soledar, it remains steadily difficult. The Ukrainian military continues to hold the defense, but more detailed information will have to wait, since neither the Ukrainian nor the Russian side can yet claim full control over the city. And fierce fighting is taking place there every minute. On top of the already existing forces, Ukraine is moving additional reinforcements to Soledar and Bakhmut in order to stabilize the front line. It is important to understand that a substantial part of the Ukrainian army is now also near the border with Belarus, as news of a possible new offensive from the north appears every week. Of course, this may turn out to be just Putin's bluff and his desire to stretch Ukrainians' defenses in this way. Let's try to build a chronology of news about the possible entry of Belarus into the war. This possibility was first mentioned in the late spring, when it became clear that the plan to quickly capture Ukraine had not worked and Russia needed additional forces. At the end of May, Belarus announced military exercises near the Ukrainian border, which at first were supposed to end in 2 weeks, but then were constantly prolonged. In fact, every week we hear news either about new joint Belarusian-Russian exercises or preparation for mobilization in Belarus. Today, according to intelligence information, there are 10,000 Russian military personnel in the country, along with air defense missile systems, and at the end of December there was information about the possible deployment of nuclear missiles on the territory of Belarus. But what does it really mean? Is it not a bluff but another preparation for an offensive, similar to the one that took place near the Ukrainian borders exactly 1 year ago? To begin with, one must understand that whatever bluff it may be, it will still work. At the moment, Belarus is not legally considered a part of the conflict. Accordingly, Russian soldiers are now safer in the territory of Belarus than in Russia itself, since Ukraine cannot afford to shoot in the direction of Minsk. This unties Putin's hands and makes it possible to send military personnel to Lukashenko for treatment and combat smoothing. Similarly, military equipment can be sent to Belarus for repairs. At the same time, Ukraine, even realizing that an offensive from the north is highly unlikely, simply cannot afford to bear this part of the border. As soon as it does so, the risk of a new assault on Kiev increases greatly. So even a bad bluff will work. And as long as there is Russian equipment and military personnel in Belarus, some Ukrainian soldiers will be guarding this part of the border. And these soldiers are badly needed now in Bakhmut and Soledar. On November 14, it was reported that Belarus transferred 122 T-72 tanks to the Russian Federation. Also on November 17, the media reported that Belarus transferred 211 pieces of military equipment, including 98 T-72 tanks and 60 infantry fighting vehicles. In addition, the number of artillery shells that Putin takes from Lukashenko is steadily increasing every month. All this increasingly reduces the possibility of an attack by Belarus. Nevertheless, Lukashenko needs to constantly show the gravity of his intentions, and he tries so hard. Just look at his trip to the Russian military camp. And here's a video of Belarusian military men complaining about insulting gestures from Ukrainian border guards. Well, these are not gestures. This is a direct indication of what will happen to the Belarusian military in case of an attack. Another exchange of prisoners took place today. 50 defenders returned to Ukraine from captivity. 8 of them defended Mariupol. 11 more were captured at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. And finally, this is the night shelling of Kherson, from which Russia withdrew 2 months ago, and is now shelling with incendiary ammunition. Another attempt to destroy everything it cannot have. And thank you for your attention. You can support the channel via Patreon or just like and comment this video. Peace to all.